Hey everyone! You know, Kidder Music Service is one of the greatest assets to our school district. From providing day-to-day materials like reeds and valve oil to purchasing pieces of sound and instrumental equipment, there isn't anything they can't do. Kidder Music Service helps our students sound the best they can each and every day, and we are proud to call them a Music in the Making sponsor. If you are looking for similar materials for your school, don't hesitate to call and ask for assistance and mention us, Music in the Making, today. Their number is 309-692-4040, or visit kiddermusic.com, that's Kidder music.com today for all your music classroom needs. And now, on to the podcast. Welcome to Music in the Making.
That's illegal.
I want to be with you everywhere. A Halloween party. Oh, that's fun. Let's talk about work.
That's not what I said. Well, and I like Stanridge, so it's like I kind of.
Oh, you guys are friends?
Yeah,
guys
I talked
are
to him. Yeah, we talked
to him
to
last week.
A whole 5 minutes at Midwest last year. We are 3 high school and junior high music teachers from West Central Illinois.
And someone had to go to the bathroom during intermission and missed it. And that someone is me.
Yeah! Each week we will talk about our experiences in the classroom, community, and personal lives too. Please welcome your hosts, Lisa Hallen.
We say move all this stuff down there, and then it gets moved, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why have we moved that from there to there to there? Stop recording.
Art Martinez. Happy Friday if it's not a Friday, or Saturday or Sunday, or if you're Lisa, it's a week later. And Kevin Ferry.
Oh, what you're talking about.
During class.
Oh my gosh.
Well, shall we?
Let's shout.
Welcome back to another episode of Music in the Making. We are joined with some more of our favorite guests. Woof, still early in the morning. We have Lisa here and Crispin from Mercer County. We have Dr. Mrs. once again, but more importantly, our guest today, the wonderful Madeline Wood, district president too, but for only a few hours more, right?
Till tomorrow, the last note of the honors concert.
I think that's such a cool law, like in your bylaw things, that it's like the last note of the concert.
If it's a really long fermata,
You're like, oh please,
the kids are
come
stagger
on,
breathing.
come on, I don't want these responsibilities anymore.
But then the gold badge goes off, I delete the email accounts.
Yep, it's amazing. It's quite literally a changing of the guard. Well,
End of an era.
we appreciate all of the work that you've done. I mean, for all of you IMEC people, it's thankless for sure. Because in order for a program like this to run, I mean, it's like running a band program, but on a huge scale. Because you're having all these people from all over the state coming and having to reserve the rooms and get the luggage and get the hotel rooms and get the instruments. It's like taking everyone to Disney, but it's cold and rainy. And not in
Although
Florida.
this year the Peoria weather has been so much better than in many
yes,
previous
beautiful
IMECs.
out. It's like all the rain out to the radar this morning. The rain is like way up north. It's like staying way up north. So hopefully it stays dry enough today for people to have to walk around.
And before you get too much further, I love all of the things that you think I do as IMEC president, but honestly, I do none of those things. That's all our incredible state office staff. They take care of all of the things you mentioned.
Yeah, oh, it's okay. Well, I mean, you still send us reminders about things going on.
I do send a lot of emails. IMEC is so fun because people be like, hi, Madeline, and then I get to see the person who I've emailed in real life or maybe meet them.
Absolutely.
And you did say something about bylaws, and that was me. I did type them all out in
There you
my
go.
tenure, so not everybody loves bylaws. That was my gift.
You remember working on bylaws?
I remember working on bylaws and fraternity and stuff. So yeah, good times,
This is
good
a
times.
far cry different than that.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
you
but
haven't
still,
got-
it was painful for us sometimes.
Oh no, I have. Yeah, no, I haven't yet.
Need your
Well,
$5
I was
I
about.
still get, oh, sorry, I thought you meant Western. Like, I
That too.
need to do that.
No, I gotta get my OMA sticker.
Yes.
So
See, my voice, where my brain always went Ioma. It says
Ioma.
that, the I and the O, Ioma.
Well,
Oima.
Oma's grandma in German, so So
That too.
I always, when I saw that first, I was like, oh, grandma.
Great.
I got this
Bunch
from
of
my
old
grandma.
people in this here. Bunch of fraternity of old people. So anyway, well, Madeline, we wanted to have you on because you had your demonstration lecture yesterday with your kids. That's amazing. So we kind of wanted to just have you talk all about it, maybe the whole the process of like how you got the kids, or like where the idea came from of your lecture, and then we'll go into like all the setting up of how to get it to IMEC and whatnot. So I guess like what inspired you about the flex band portion in general?
My band sounds best when we perform flex band, and there are so many awesome arrangements now, especially more so than when I started teaching 14 years ago. And I hear from directors all the time that they're like, oh, my band doesn't do flex band. And I think, why? There's so many excellent teaching opportunities, and the process for getting accepted to do a demonstration clinic at IMEC is immense. It is very time consuming, and the real catalyst is we had 2 great recordings of our band because we submitted them to Disney, and I thought, oh, we already have these, I'll just do the rest. And the rest is many bios of your band, bios of yourself, what this will accomplish, why you need to bring a performing group, what kind of literature you'll play. So it's just as much like getting a great recording, but then selling why. So a lot of paperwork, but it was so worth it.
Yeah.
A million moving parts yesterday, but it was just such a joyful celebration of the United Band and all that they accomplished.
No, the kids did really good. I had made the comment a couple times to different people that like those kids probably don't really realize what they were doing. Like to the full extent, like to them it might have been just I'm in a room playing a concert, which is kind of what it was. But really, it's like a display of like look like of all the groups that probably applied, you guys got to go, and that shows that your level of ability, and and your topic is obviously worthy of us learning from, us teachers learning from. I too am getting on the flex bandwagon for it being a teaching
funny,
tool.
What you just did. Flex band wagon.
Because no flex choir wagons, they don't have wheels. So I don't know.
That was not
dumb.
it.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
I ruined that one.
Just drop.
But okay. Bye.
Here, before you get too much further, what really set in how much bigger than just a band performance by the United Band was Kevin Ferry.
Shout out.
Was talking about downstate representation, and I love teaching in a rural school, and I loved being part of the rural voice of band programs.
Yeah. No,
So
I agree.
thanks, Mr. Ferry, for helping me realize that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did he just get shouted out on his own show?
Yes.
He did.
He did.
Hey, when you ain't on the show, you get shout
I was
out.
just saying, he's not here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the flex band stuff. I think you may have inspired me to actually go ahead and write out the lecture I wanted to do at IMEC, which is basically flex band, but for like the first year teacher or like the beginning teacher, because we come out of college with like the full score. And of course we take the classes that, explain how we should run rehearsal, but like that's dependent on the ensemble to be able to do those things. And as a young teacher, like you might get distracted from the score study because you're trying to teach your kids what melody is. You're trying to teach your kids what harp, and it's hard to do that in the score when there's multiple clarinet parts, multiple trumpet parts, and trombone parts. And my idea was kind of like flex band score study as a tool to help you run your rehearsal, basically. So like you can teach all the parts of the song to everyone. Everyone gets the rhythm. Everyone can get the melody in some way, shape, or form, whether it be in the warm up or be maybe actually like what you were doing the other day when you were actually having all the other parts like flipping the script. I love that. But like showing score study techniques is a way to like optimize your rehearsal and show the flow of things. Because I feel like for some young teachers, like they're pulling out a score of, oh, I love this piece. I played it in college or high school, but they don't know how to rehearse it because it's so complicated. So
speaking of first year, so Sydney, that's her first time was conducting ever. Was it or not? Not ever.
Shout out
but
Sydney Hollis, yes.
First time
She did amazing.
conducting.
Performing.
Yeah, performing anything was at IMEC for her career, and that's a very high achievement. So how was she I guess she's not here right now, but how did she handle being told that, and how did she go about that process?
Sydney Hollis is the real deal. She's an excellent student teacher, excellent pre-service music educator, and is somebody that you will want to hire. So whoever's listening, she wants a job in the Carbondale or possibly our area in Monmouth, Illinois. So you should hire her. She took it in stride. She made copies of all of the scores. She learned all the parts. I was looking at her score just to verify I did the flipped correctly on the presentation, and I realized she wrote in all of the chords. I'm like, that's
she's awesome.
Amazing. I've never done that. So it was great to have a co-teacher, not a student teacher really, but we co-did that presentation, and the students respond to her well. So I'm really glad that she got that opportunity, and she was just exceptional.
Seriously, you guys were an awesome tag team up there, and the kids did a great job, so congratulations on it.
Thank you. Back on what you were saying with new teachers, young teachers, I think it should just be for all teachers. Because you should always be thinking about what you do and how it can be more beneficial to your students. So Flex Band, it actually came about because I was conducting a piece, Nathan Hale Trilogy, that I conducted while student teaching. Like, as you do, you go to what's familiar when you have so many new things. And we were okay at it, but there were so many things that were missing, like we had no bassoons. And then when I retaught it, I was looking for a part on J.W. Pepper, and it wasn't there. And then I realized it was a Flex version. And so now every time we perform the Flex version of Nathan Hale Trilogy, and it's so much better. Every part is there.
I think, that's a good point, because it's like for my lecture idea, like I'm thinking fresh out of college, but I think you're right, because with the way that students are learning now, and composers are starting to pick up on this too, that like the ensemble has changed, and depending on where you are, like you could still be playing quality rep, but just do it in the Flex Band version, and no one would really know. It's they're getting really good at rewriting their pieces so that it reflects like the same spirit and sound of their piece. Like I think Kelly's been starting to rewrite all his stuff for Flex Band now. So like if you want to do Blue Shades now with your rural area band, you can do it. I think it's 6 parts, so it's still like challenging, but it still sounds like the original, or at least close to it. So
one of my things is as teaching people who have their first year under their belts of learning, 6th graders or wherever age they start with, they're now in their second year. The biggest thing I'm trying to teach them is to listen for the melody, and to listen to know when they're the melody and to when they're coming. And that can be easy. You can say things like, well, if you have the fast notes, you're the melody, but that's not always true.
Right,
or
exactly.
if you have the higher notes, you might be the melody, then that's not always true too. And so it's really awesome to be like, okay, right here, part A is the melody. This is what the melody sounds like. If you don't sound like this, then you are not the melody, and you need to do something different to your sound if the melody can't be heard. Or you can also then say, well, maybe I want to add some alto saxes to the A part to make it a little louder to help the flutes and the clarinets, because maybe we only have two clarinets or something like that, and you need that help. So it's really just a great resource I've found in my second year of teaching, just to enhance the ensemble like you've demonstrated, and it's very helpful in that regard.
So to your point, when we flipped the parts and the students were like, this is really boring, or like, wow, this is a lot of notes, we talked all about empathy and how it builds empathy for other people in the band. So like really good SEL connection too. So Flex Band, best.
I mean, it's also like for those people who are like, I really want my tubas to learn 16 notes or something like that. I mean, like these pieces, like give them the Flex Band parts. I was talking with Rusty from Mercer County.
Shout out.
And I said, like, there's something to like where if you just buy like 5 or 6 Flex Band pieces, just pass them out throughout the year, and then just have the kids sight read, and that's your sight reading opportunity. And then you can say choose whatever part you want. The other thing I was thinking of too was like for Flex Band, students who want to learn a secondary or tertiary instrument, this is their opportunity to kind of create their own ensemble if they want, or like if you're needing to take another ensemble contest, do Flex Band only music, because then you'll be able to find that perfect, grade piece for that kind of ensemble. So I think the Flex Band universe is needed, and I honestly, I personally, I don't know how popular it is, I mean, maybe it's still like people have like this idea, as you were saying, of like flex band is just only for those bands maybe that are struggling a little bit with some things. But honestly, it's such a great tool that can be used in a lot of programs. So more flex band, please.
I'd say it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
I judged IHSA organizational contest probably 8 years. In the beginning, it was very uncommon, and now it's extremely common
Yeah,
for
I knew.
especially like Class C and D schools.
Well, I think coming during COVID and coming out of COVID, it helped those groups like play either in smaller ensembles, right? Or like if people had large like concert bands or whatever, and they had to split them up into smaller groups, you could flex band those. Or like because we lost students from just like dropping out of band and stuff like that, we can fill in the gaps with the flex band too. But I think I'm glad it's becoming more popular because I still think it's a really neat tool.
When I used FlexBand last, like I found I was having a really hard time getting the balance right. Like I was very much looking at it from a differentiated instruction part, like you can handle the A part, you can't. And like but also still making sure there's someone who can play that to be a leader. And then, I was like, okay, this is the perfect part for everyone. And then we play it and it's just all out of whack. How do you like go about finding that perfect blend of which instruments and how many people on each part?
It takes a lot of preparation,
Yeah.
probably hours. So like initial score study, and then I'll do like in pencil part assignments, and then I'll think like, oh, there are 8 people of like a trumpet variety on part A. Maybe I need to rebalance this. Or so many of my students do play second or third instruments, and so like, oh, Houston, shout out, is going to play baritone on this instead of trumpet. And so like a lot of clever instrument switches. On Tripwire, when we performed it at our concert, I had soprano sax because we needed to make the clarinet section a little more robust, that part. And my alto saxophone was having the best time because she got to play a new instrument. So just being creative and having fun and seeing what students want to do.
How often do you split up, like you say, I want half the altos playing part B, half them playing part C? Or do you try to do everybody in one section playing one part, or do you split it up like that?
It's section by section. So I have 2 euphoniums, and most often they play a different part. And like one will go with bass clarinets, one will go with either trumpets or trombones, depending on, as Lisa said, like if the balance is needed. Do we use first names on this podcast? All right, sorry, thank you, Mrs. Foyle. But yeah, and then somebody came up to me at the session. They're like, "Do you ever put all of the part 1s sitting together?" And like, I've done that one time, but that's such a good idea. So thank you, undergrad ISU musician who came up to me. But that would be so helpful in learning to put like all the part 1s together, all the part 2s, and like physically make them move. I think my kids are just cranky because it's 8 a.m. and they
Oh
don't
my
wanna
gosh.
move at all.
Yeah, mine gets so crabby about moving too. I'm like, but it's so helpful to be next person playing your part, clarinets. Like, yeah.
It forces you to build that independence too, and also like as soon as you guys did the flute thing, like with the I turned to her, I'm like, oh, we should do that for like solo ensemble, like take like a piece like that with like our flute choirs, because we have our individual like pieces that we have that are written for that, but like played Pirates of the Caribbean flex band for by flute.
You can do
like,
Dark Ride with 4 parts and percussion.
Like
and
I was like, oh, I should like.
it was
That's
so
such
great.
a good idea. So I'm stealing that.
Thank you. Something that I learned. Oh, sorry, Dr.
I'm
Martinez
sorry. No,
has
I
her
just
hand
wanna-
up.
Dr. Mrs. wants to contribute. Go.
I wanted to brag on Mrs. Wood's students for a minute because they represented United so professionally. They were ready to go. They were really prepared. They just showed great leadership. Can you tell us a little bit about their process, about, accepting the news of, receiving the news of we're going to perform at IMEC? Can you talk us through how they felt about all of that?
Yeah, thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it. I love my students. I think they're the best. Yesterday's presentation was brought to you because we had 0 snow days in January that were on high school band.
Shout out
days.
January.
Yes.
Shout out
yes.
this month of January.
Because we had all of the football headband activities and parades, and then we had a November concert, then we had a December concert, and then we had basketball headband, and then we had like 3 weeks no snow days, to either bring back some pieces or polish them. And we have different people in our ensemble now than we did even last semester or last year, so like getting them up to speed. Because we learned we were accepted in May, so I've been thoughtfully programming.
Wow.
So we performed something at our November and December concert yesterday. But then our new composition by composer Tim Corpus,
Shout out.
that was brand new, and so we had to learn that. So a lot of practice.
Cool.
They'll do practice check or playing check-ins with me, which is like a playing exam, but it's not a test. It's just like, oh, here are some goals to make this better. Also, I'm marking in this F sharp. Thank you. So just like a one-on-one help with each student. But we went to Disney this past summer, and it was an amazing trip. But then I thought, how do we top Disney? And then once I started talking about IMEC and explaining what it was, luckily I have a couple students who have been to Allstate, so they knew
They
it from
can-
the performer.
Yeah, they can back you up.
But there's just so much going on. And then the students are like, wait, we get to play for other music educators? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be so amazing. And there were so many friends in the audience. So thank you all for being there. And then
Absolutely.
all of my former student teachers made it, so lots of friendly faces.
That's good.
So,
The students get to be the teacher to us, and I think for them that is such a cool experience to get to, you know, play in front of all these music educators and teach them something too. So they were instrumental. So
well done. Well done.
in teaching us something, because even though I teach K through 3, I thought it was so cool. I had never really heard of, well, I had heard of Flex Band, but I didn't know what it was. And so as a previous performer, sort of current performer, I guess, it was really cool to see how it's such a great tool in differentiating instruction, but also in showing students a little more of the, like, I guess, music theory aspect too. So that's kind of what I took from it as well, is you can use it in so many different ways.
Well, it's like for me, because when I'm trying to write music for like my young band music, right? I'm trying to give those trombones and the low brass melody because they never get it. And with Flex Band, it's almost like you're like, okay, here's my excuse to give you guys something. So even if it's like of your 2 or 3 pieces you might do at a winter concert, one of those is Flex Band, and we're going to flip the script just so that those guys get the melody. And yeah, it might sound a little weird, but it's for their benefit going forward in the year to give them, like, that experience, you know? It's amazing because it's like, even at this level of Allstate, you know, the trombones and baritones are still kind of playing chord notes, but it's at a different level, and it's a little bit different, you know, kind of way, so... Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Shout out Sam
Shout
Wan.
out Sam Wan from Mercer County. Have a seat. Want to join us?
Sure.
So what's next?
I'm saying this is a live podcast. We don't just like stop. I don't edit.
That's what I meant.
Unless I absolutely have to.
So you just got over the high of the IMEC and everything like that. You're still here, obviously, and you're like, oh, you just performed, and you know your students are probably
There you go.
relieved. You're probably a little relieved today. And what's next for the band?
Pep Band Monday at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Senior high school. So
look
my
at my calendar.
previous student teacher of the year, Garrett Sprinkle.
Mr. Sprinkle.
He is teaching my classes today, and I'm sure the Pep Band will sound great on Monday. So thank you, Mr. Sprinkle.
Yeah, very good.
But like big term, I don't know. We have solo and ensemble. I think we have maybe 51 or 2 events, and for us, that's
United.
great. They
That's
just are
great.
so excited to
Yeah.
do chamber music and to play solos on all of their instruments, and then just normal like concerts and things like that. We'll
Yeah.
see what else pops up.
How did you feel the second after the clinic yesterday? Was it like relief? Everyone wanted to talk to you. I was trying to get to you, and like I couldn't.
Yeah.
There was the line a mile long to get to her. So I was like, I'll see her again. We teach in the same class.
I was just so proud of my students, and then they got to, as a doctor, Mrs. Martinez said, like got to teach the audience something, and I could tell that they were like proud that they undertook that responsibility, and just showing my school and my community in a positive light. My principal came, and there were so many. My parents were there, my stepson was there, so it was really nice.
Yeah, that was really cool that he was playing in the band with you. That's
We
fun.
had never put that snare solo part in the commission piece, right?
Oh,
First
really?
Light together until that morning, maybe 15 minutes before we started. Like we had practiced. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's practice it fast and slow. And if we get faster or slower. So like we practiced a million times
Sure.
all the scenarios, but then when it just came together, so.
I really like the start of that snippet of the piece that you guys have going on with. What was it, Horizon Lights?
Horizon's First Light.
Horizon's
yeah.
First Light.
So Tim and I went to college together, and
Yeah.
he played percussion, and then he too found a love of composition.
Yeah.
And it's been a dream to work with him. So like, oh, I need something harder for my mallets.
Sure.
What about if we have a French horn part too? And he's just so game to make all those changes.
Yeah, when he was describing like the colors of the instruments, like I've heard of that technique before. I don't know. He must have a really keen ear about like the instruments being like a certain shade.
Like
of
the
something.
lime green.
He mentioned like the lime green, like flutes are lime green or
was
something like that.
mind-blowing to me. I
Yeah.
had never thought about it like that. And I'm like, oh, do you want like 30 seconds to speak? And then he comes up there with that.
That-
I'm like, okay, I learned something
timbre
in this.
in the sense of hues.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
It's a
interesting because I mean, iOS composition. I've not thought of it in that aspect. It's interesting. I'd also say just the register of every instrument changes the timbre so
Yes.
much as well. So I couldn't pick one color for one instrument. You know, it has say the note in this register maybe this color, and you know it must be like a whole like spectrum.
It is, yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you who I've heard use that technique, but it is very. I can imagine it's very complicated. like because flutes can be maybe 3 or 4 colors, like you're saying, like depending on the register. But that was really neat for him. But I will say, like, even after those first couple of notes, I could tell this guy writes for film, and it was pretty exciting. Like I was like, oh man, like here we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like so visual, even though it's just the music. So really excited for you guys. So
The rest of the piece is so cool. The
Yeah.
premiere is at our spring concert on Tuesday, May 6th, which is also Rutabaga Jazz. So we're going to have
Oh my God.
like a vocalist from New York come
Wow.
and do a set, and then we play and we get to do this commission piece. And at the beginning, it starts with chimes and then mallet roll, and then there's a flute solo, and the rest of the band is humming.
Sure.
And I have goosebumps now just thinking about
Yeah,
it. It's so cool.
that is cool. So did you? You mentioned in the lecture that you got the grant money for the piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you reach out to him? Did you reach out to a couple of composers, or like he was the one that you wanted to write?
I have been a fan of Tim's music for a long time,
Sure.
and he's just a great human being, so I knew that he would be the right person to embark on this massive undertaking,
Yeah.
his first project.
Well, especially with the flex band thing, he said that's never been, or he's never done it before. He's always
never written for Flex.
but he's interested. He was always interested in it, right? Is what he said. So that's pretty neat for him to do that. So like, what was the process like? Did you just say like, hey, I want to do this piece? Did you guys like? Did you have an idea of what you wanted it to be like, or did he already have an idea of the music?
It started as a conversation. I just like gushed on how great my students are and what our strengths are, and who maybe just joined band or we have developing skill.
Sure.
And who we definitely wanted to highlight, and just like different ways flex band could be used. So I sent him lots of scores, like links to them, and he just became so educated and excited about flex band. And then he'd come ask me about things. And the original name of the piece was something about the Mississippi, because it's like, oh, you're by rivers, and I'm like, some of my kids have never actually seen the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
And then last time I was in Chicago, I dropped my family off at a Bears game, and so I met him for coffee, and we were just talking about like the world and students and how we're really excited and hopeful for the future. And
Sure.
then he's like, "This is the name of the piece. It's Horizon's First Light."
There
and
you
it was
go.
Just so
Yeah.
cool to be a part of that.
That's cool.
process.
That's cool. That's very fun.
Yeah, being a Bears fan and being hopeful for the future seems like a good combination.
What an inspiration. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Crispin and I know one of the United freshman percussionists who just joined, and I think back in like November she came up to us at an event and was just like, we are doing this brand new piece, it's never been performed before. Like, she is new to band and she recognized like how cool this is. She was just gushing there, like, your students get it and we're so excited about it.
Thank you for sharing that story with me.
Yes.
I'm so happy she joined band, and she has the big chime part.
Yes,
too.
and she was telling us all about playing vibraslap and chimes and just about having that chimes part in the new piece.
She was
and-
dancing around the whole performance in the back.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell she was excited at the performance too,
And
which was
that's
fun.
just another reason why you should never limit who can join your ensembles and when. She joined as a freshman. I think maybe tried flute early on, and it just wasn't for her at that time. And then she wanted to be involved in everything in high school, and now she's here, and she's such a great member.
What's your rehearsal schedule like at school? Do you get to see the kids every day, or is it blocked?
Not.
Okay.
So this year is the best in my 14 years because we restructured our district, and now we have a 7 through 12 building. And then
I did
we
know
have an intermediate school.
Okay.
And so I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the intermediate school. I still teach beginners because I love teaching
That's the old
beginners.
Yorkwood building,
Yep,
correct?
yep, yep. And then general music, which is so fun and exhausting, and I'm sweaty, and it's great.
I get that feeling. I'm glad I have mine at the end of the day with the little kids at the end of the day. I'd feel a little gross if I had the little kids and then I went to the 7th, 8th grade. I get that.
But with our high school, we only rehearse on Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. from 8 to 8:41.
Oh my gosh.
And then on Wednesdays, I alternate with my choir colleague, and then I teach junior high band that day as well. But the great thing about United is we have 3rd hour as advisory and 9th hour, and so I am able to meet with small groups. And then on the Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm at the intermediate school, I get to start every day at United. So I'll be like, oh, percussion sectional 1st hour, or like, let me meet with you specifically because you need a little extra help. And so that's been huge for our progress.
Does a lot of their schedules allow for them to come down in those flex periods, like on that first hour or whatever
and teachers
it is?
at United are amazing. So if they get done with their homework and they have like maybe 20 minutes of a study hall or something, they'll ask to come to band, and most of the teachers say yes.
Cool.
And so they just are practicing all the time. So like I'm feeling in a great place with Soul Ensemble. We have our accompanist schedule starts on Tuesday, so fun never stops. But yeah, they're just so interested in it. And I have a senior who came to me wanting to learn trumpet. She's a clarinetist, and so she's in our class like 2 classes a day just because she wants to learn this trumpet. She could play at a contest.
Yay.
So yeah, schedule is great this year. I'm very
Good.
lucky.
Very cool.
That's great.
I was saying, you mentioned it earlier. Well, you mentioned about Kevin's comment earlier about downstate.
Shout out?
Shout out, yeah. Representation of our state. It was also nice to see some of the lectures out here, even this go around. People are being like, "You're teaching in a rural area. It's gonna be okay." It doesn't. I think the mental shift of working in an area like ours is if you're trying to find a job, just get a job, because it's better for you to start in the classroom and work your way through knowing what you don't know, and then eventually getting to maybe that program that you want. But there's also that challenge of maybe starting a legacy with a school that maybe has 5 kids in the band, and then next thing you know there's 15 the next year, and next thing you know there's 50 next year. There's something about if you recognize the work that you're putting in, you're getting that out. It's almost worth, instead of going to maybe that big school that has a lot of numbers already, it's almost worth giving those kids who are in our areas something to look forward to every day in school. And I think that you're obviously doing that at MR. We try to do that every single day. We love it to see our kids perform, and we love it when they're enjoying the performance too. It's not a stressful thing. And I think yesterday you guys were for sure enjoying that. I know for some of them they were a little nervous, but they were enjoying what they were doing, and I think that's really, really awesome to see.
So I moved here from Chicago, and it was a big change, and I'm so glad I moved. And I grew up in the suburbs, so I've experienced lots of geographical educational landscapes, and I love teaching at United. I think every single student deserves a quality music educator who puts in the time. And whenever somebody asks me oh, is it time for you to move to a bigger school or go back to the suburbs, I'm almost offended, because I think my students deserve somebody who cares about them.
Absolutely.
Just like every student. So I think that United is the right fit for me, and that I want to be there long term.
Yeah.
Were you the first United band director?
I was not.
Okay.
There were a few others before me, and then there were some real legacy directors at our 3 schools before we consolidated.
Sure. Okay. I don't know when the consolidation happened, I guess.
2005.
So how long have you been at United?
2011.
Okay.
I was in high school.
So you've been
I was in high school too.
I'm sure she appreciates those comments. Thank you for making our guests feel great.
You mean she's not 21?
I love my
22.
30s. I am so much smarter than when I was in my 20s. I'm very happy to be 36.
If anyone can't say otherwise, then I don't want to know what you did in your 20s.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on your performance yesterday. It was really, really,
Thank you.
really good to see like our local area band director friends and their programs at a big convention like this. It's really important for those kids to get exposure to, and inspiring for those of us who should probably get our own kids to be doing stuff like this too. So.
And thank you for the shout out, both of the podcast and our session.
Oh, yeah.
That was
so
so
sweet.
cool.
That was really, really enjoyable.
Definitely earned and deserved. Y'all are wonderful, and I love listening to this podcast every week.
Yeah, we try to post it every week. We are now. It was rough in the fall, but
It's not like you don't have a busy schedule. Right?
oh yeah, I know. It's not like we're band directors who just are always at the school and for
And
football and
choir
stuff.
director.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most often,
Well, when he has a
recording-
when he doesn't have a student teacher. When he has a student teacher, he's not at the school.
So most often when you're recording on Fridays, I'm teaching your flutes at my school. So
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Well, anything else for Madeline before we let her
Is there
go
anything else you
enjoy
wanna
her
talk
rest of the
about?
conference?
So I think it's important to do something that scares you every day.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yesterday,
okay.
there was some fear, some anxiety. After I got really prepared and like had the slide deck together and all the handouts, like I felt better about it. But tomorrow at 1, I am conducting the national anthem.
Oh, that's right.
To open the All-State concert. And so I've been down memory lane and thinking like 19 years ago, I was performing at IMEC.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then thinking like, oh, how many of my students like got to sit in those chairs. And
Right.
then when I started as president, thinking like, oh, in 7 years when I'm ancient, 36, I'm going to be doing that. That's so far away. Time goes by quickly.
Absolutely.
So I'm thrilled. And I have a student in the All-State band, so it'll be extra special that I get to conduct her. That's
Amazing.
awesome.
Last I heard, the banner's been 4, so you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
I love it. That band's so good. I can just cue the snare drum,
Yep.
give a breath, and then they're gonna be great. I could probably get down off that podium
You're
and
gonna
it would be
Bernstein it. You're just gonna like watch, stare at them to enter
Probably
in.
too much. Move quicker as the conducting goes with a group like that.
No, but that's gonna be super special. That's gonna be amazing, and that's because that's also part of the tradition or bylaws, whatever, where like the outgoing people are doing the conducting, right?
Yeah, just a way of saying like we appreciate your
Oh, yeah.
hundreds of thousands of hours of donated labor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Welcome, Kimberly Gardner. We're excited for you to be the next district
Yay!
So what I heard from that is you did something that scared you yesterday, and you're doing something tomorrow. So today we need to go skydiving, so you don't have your thing yet.
I really thought live podcast.
Oh, okay,
Counted
I
as
guess.
And especially when I thought Mr. Fury was going to be here,
Yeah.
ripping the table.
He's gonna grill me on my own lecture.
You just never know what he's gonna.
Yeah,
That's true.
this is true.
Shout out, Mr. Ferry.
We love you.
Yeah, shout out Kevin.
I would have wanted to recreate the horn incident.
We're still trying to figure that out. We'll eventually get like a soundboard. We'll have like the classic sounds of like the chicken hitting the head and
Well, and you'll come back on a day we're doing video too, and then
yes.
That's someone's spying on us. Someone's on drugs outside.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
They're
It's
just
Peoria.
fans who are.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm
like
just.
the
Yeah.
newsrooms, people being like, hey.
Or
Well,
they may
it
be
was
waiting.
alarming because she just like looked straight at me and like did this. I was like,
It's all right. It's
Hey.
hence the live podcast.
Yeah, it's like the USA Today or whatever it is, Good Morning America, where they're
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. History's being made, but it's in Peoria. Oh my gosh. Well, Madeline, thank you again for being on today, and thank you for everything that you're doing for your students and for IMEA. You're gonna have a great send-off tomorrow. ILMEA. Okay. Oh, that's another
$1
thing.
for
Okay,
the swear jar.
that's another thing I said. Well, instead of I said on the podcast last time, I said because I forget.
Oh, the big
The big
surprise.
surprise. So someone was like,
yes.
we were practicing for our panel, and then someone said, oh, there's gonna be a surprise at the conference to start the conference. I'm like, oh, are we going back to IMEA? Because that would be great. so that was pretty
I
funny.
think the
But
thing
yeah,
that always twists me
ILMEA.
is like I did IMEA when I was in school,
Yeah,
right?
back in my day.
And
That's
there
what I
are-
said.
And
yeah.
there are still like administrative people that have been in long enough that will call it that.
Right.
Every other acronym in the world is 4.
So wait.
IHSA, IESA, and then the conference we come to is IMEC,
I was gonna say, why is it
IMEC, right?
Not ILMEC.
Yeah.
That I actually wanted to ask you that question. Why is it not ILMEC? Why didn't we make it
Wouldn't there be other IMECs too? Like Iowa Music
It kind of
Educator?
depends. Yeah,
I just wondered.
They might just call that
Idaho.
something different.
Idaho Mech.
Originally, we became ILMEA, I think, for website.
The domain name.
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so the likelihood of, I think, Iowa or Idaho's MEC happening at the same time is probably pretty low, also in Illinois. So I think that's maybe why.
So, like, and is it
have our
our
IMEC
state's
in Iowa
version
next
of
year.
Allstate? Doesn't it also kind of like in different states, like they have a version of this? It's not exactly like this is like a certain way of doing it, but they have their version. But I
Yeah.
think it's also called different stuff
And
too.
yeah, not necessarily in January. Like
Right.
listening to
They were-
podcasts, they're like, "Oh, my students are at Allstate," and I'm like, "It's July."
Right. Yeah, they referred to Allstate, but it's like maybe called something else. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. But long forever IMEA.
But what did they do
IMEA
in the
forever.
Netherlands? You apparently have lots of global listeners.
Oh, I know.
Email us. Let us know.
I was saying,
Or when you're
I
on.
emailed him back. I said, "Hey, we'll do an interview for sure. Like, I don't know how, but we'll figure it out."
Or it's up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Wake up in the time
I think you
distance.
should go there. I love the Netherlands.
I'll just come to his door, or come to his front door. Like, "Hey, I heard you want to be on the podcast."
Holding your
Would Kidder
microphone.
Music sponsor that trip?
Oh my gosh.
First class.
Shout out, Kidder.
Shout out, Kidder.
Kidder is also the
Always.
music store we use at United, so thank you, Kidder, for all you do.
Oh yeah.
And Blake
Yeah.
is your rep, right?
Yes, he is.
Love that. Love that song.
Shout out, Blake.
Shout out, Blake.
And we
All
broke our
there.
drum set yesterday at our performance, so we will probably be purchasing a new one.
Nice.
So thank you for Kidder Music.
I'm gonna place that order right now, live in the podcast.
I'm like, Kellen, can you play that with just one tom? He's like, I can make anything work. Like, wanted to dare him, but I'm like, okay, great, thanks.
yeah.
Not the time to test that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're Midwest buying this thing, so which is appropriate. So again, thank you, Madeline, for being here today. Thank you for again the lecture. It was pretty awesome seeing your kids and you up there, and Sydney. Shout out. So before we wrap up, this is day 2 of IMEC. So amazingly, and it's starting to hit like it's going faster now. So it's like we're missing it. But day 2 of IMEC. Thank you again, Kidder, for all that you do for all of our schools and all of our students. It's really we really can't do it without you. So if you're here at the conference, make sure that you are stopping by their booth so that you get all the tons of band and flex band, choral, vocal music, and extra discounts because it is a conference. They have their IMEC. It says right here, IMEC survival kits. For us teachers who need a little extra to get through the 1,000 days of January and going in the rest of the year. And then after IMEC, make sure that if you're doing solo and ensemble, which we've already talked about a couple times in the podcast so far, you get your music for that for your students, as well as if you're preparing for organizational contests, those scores and original copies. Now it's time to get that stuff because with the discounts, but also it's time to just get it so you can prepare and not be like me and forget like 2 weeks before the concert and be like, wait, I need these. So shout out Jamie. Because I did that this week.
Shout
There's
out.
that A.
Jamie Wilson is the real deal. Thank you, Jamie, for all of the music for District 2 in the last 7 years. You would
Yeah.
expedite things that maybe I forgot to order. You have always bailed me out, and you are the best. Thank you, Jamie.
How do you like that, Jamie? That's a better shout out than we did the other week. My apologies, but that was awesome. So, all right, gang, thanks for all being here this morning, and then we will all see you later. Y'all know how we end this thing? Girl, bye. Hi, Kevin.